Hi, my name is Bianca Rocha. This will be a 3 to 5 minute video for the questions that are being asked of me. So the first one, what disposition that you possess will make you a successful teacher? Um, I feel like since I've been working with students for I'm almost going on maybe on my third year, actually almost 4 years, because I worked with daycare and then now I'm in middle school. I work for a charter school, and I feel as if their charter has really provided me enough to understand what it is to be an educator. I think I'm really, really, really good in believing the students. I know some days I have a hard time doing that, but it's with certain students, not everybody. I always talk to them, let them know, like, you have the power to be somebody more than what you are right now. I set them up and believe that they can strive to be great people. Um, the kids that we tend to work with are the kids that get kicked out of all the other schools and they have nowhere else to go. So they're usually the kids that are like wanting to drop out, not wanting to do anything. I've always used this disposition to remind them that they are more than their backgrounds, more than what they've done. We had a child who would do drugs, would steal cars, would be in and out of juvie, and nobody ever asked him what he wanted to do when he grew up. And I asked him one day, and his answer surprised me, and he told me that he wanted to be an architect. And so more and more every day I would help him with his math homework. I found out he plays chess, and that's what we forget. We see that these kids are in and out of like the system of juvenile system, and we assume that we know who they are. But because I took that step and asked, what you wanted to do, what was the goal, and I showed him that he could be more. I used to give him college work with me when I had homework. I think like that's a really good strong disposition that I've always had. The one that I am very, very, like, I am sensitive to it, but then I'm not, and I have a reason for it. So the second question is, what disposition do you need to work on before you enter the classroom as a first year teacher? Technically, like I said, I've been doing this for a minute. I am in a classroom almost every single day. I do have my own class. With this charter, I'm a learning coach, so I do work on the things that I need to work on. But I feel like my worst one is probably educators should be sensitive to individual learning and social needs of students and embrace the culture diversity of the community. It's not the diversity part, of course, like I know backgrounds are very important. I struggle with people's disabilities. So I was raised to treat everybody the same way. I wasn't raised to see any different. And I feel like if we continue to just point out, like, oh, hey, like, you have this and you might work a little bit slower. And I feel like it makes them feel bad. But now that I've worked with a bunch of people or a bunch of kids that have had disabilities, and our school, most of our kids actually have a learning disability that they've had to maneuver, but a lot of them use it as a crutch. And I think that's where I draw the line, because I tell them you can't use this as like your everyday why. Oh, I can't do this because I'm this. I can't do this because of that. Like, I tell them now, I'm like, I think I'm realizing after high school and after everything for so many years that I might have dyslexia, because as I'm going back into education and I'm working more with numbers and letters, I tend to switch a lot of my stuff. And I tell them, I was like, I have not been fully diagnosed, but this is what happens with me. And they're like, oh, really? You too? So I tell them, if I can do it, you can do it. Because it's not only that, but I also tell them about my other disabilities that I do have. I don't know if it's considered a disability, but I feel like it does come into play with my work, which is my depression and my anxiety. I tell them I push through. We have to. And if we just use it as like something like, oh, it's because I have ADHD. Oh, it's because I have a little bit of autism. Like, it's okay that you have it. Just don't use it to say you cannot do something, because they all can do something. And I think that's something I still have to work on, and being like, oh no, like they really have this issue and we need to help them and teach them a different way. My next question is, what attributes should a professional educator have, and how should they behave? What standards guide their thinking and actions? For me, I believe professionalism, of course, is a huge thing. But I also think there is such thing as too much professionalism. These babies see us probably more than they see their parents. I see these babies more than I see my own kids. And you build a relationship with them. You know, they find comfort in talking to you. I've had so many kids come and talk to me. So many kids tell me things that sometimes it breaks my heart, but I wish that they didn't, because I have to betray their trust. And I, as an educator, I have to relay the message if it is something that needs to be brought. I have a really stone cold personality. The kids love to joke around with me because they'll come up to me like, oh my God, I finished my work. And I'm just like, good job. And they're like, you're not even happy. They'll tell me all the time, like, how do I live like this? I'm never happy. And so I play with it because I know it's not true, but I play around with them. We joke, we laugh, but they do also understand that when it's time to work, it's time to work. So I believe, yes, professionalism is very important, but I also believe we live in a different time where we have more of this relationship with these kids. I also believe that as a teacher, knowing you're going into education with children who are coming from elementary, middle school to high school, you can't just be here for a job. You have to be here because you want to be here. You want to be with these kids. If you just come in thinking this is just a job, you're never, ever gonna love it. You're never actually gonna allow yourself to love these kids the way that you should. So I really think professionalism is good, but just tone it down, not crazy, but keeping that professionalism of understand that they are still the student, I am still the teacher. My favorite thing to say is, because these kids like to figure out my first name, and when I hear them say it, I tell them, first off, my name is Miss Rocha, because we do not know each other on a personal level, and so you don't get to use my first name. That is a different me that you don't get to know. And so I feel like with that being said, they understand, like, oh, like, she's right. I don't know her outside of the school, because they don't know anything. Number 4, how might teacher dispositions positively or negatively influence the psychological and moral development of adolescents? Sorry, it's late. I think this one's hard to answer, because I do teach the babies like respect, and I teach them not you have to respect me because I'm the adult. I tell them, if I respect you, you need to respect me back, because you trying to demand or trying to disrespect somebody is never going to get anybody to be wanting to work with you, wanting to be with you, wanting to have a life, near you. But should exercise sound judgment, ethical behavior. There always is just positivity and negativity to all of these dispositions. You can make a child believe and understand that they can do anything, but then when you give them too much ambition, you might set them up for failure too. The sensitivity, I already gave my downfall in, how I also still use it, but it's just there. Educators should promote social justice, equity, maintain an appropriate center. So this one too, we have our personal lives, kids like to find it. Right now, I think my kids are obsessed with adding me on Instagram and obsessed with adding me on TikTok, and I draw the line. I tell them at work, do not look for me, because I will not accept y'all. Because again, that's me drawing a line from my personal to my professional environment. And so some take it bad, some take it like, oh, you don't want to be my friend. It's not that. I have no business adding a little middle school kid compared to my life. How will you uphold the expectations of the profession, including codes of ethics, professional standards of practice, and relevant laws and policies? So, of course, we have so many laws. I know right now, now that we've established ourselves within the school system, the partnership is called Third Future Schools. We're more focusing on TEA being involved a lot, coming to look at the school, taking more of our, doing more of our trainings. Sorry, I had a blank moment for a second. But doing more of our trainings, trying to understand like what our laws are. And I mean, with Third Future, we know our policies. We know what is expected of us. I know I play around with my kids a lot. They love it. They love that interaction that we play around with them. But I also, like I said, I draw my line. When it's time to work, it's time to work. When it's time to be silly and funny, then we can do that. And so a lot of them has picked up that when they're good, I am very goofy, and they play around with that. They bounce off of my happiness. But then when one bad apple, not bad, but like one apple chooses to not do what they're supposed to be doing, then that's when I'm like, okay, we're done. We were having fun, we're doing good, but remember, I'm here because we are supposed to be learning. So I think that's how I continue to keep the ethics and professional standards. I hold my personal life to they know the extent of what they need to know. They don't need to know more on what I do on the weekends, on where I go, what I'm doing here at home. They don't need to know a lot of that. So I draw the line with that, of course. And of course, if one of them comes up to tell me that something has happened, it's happened. You know, I've had babies come up to me and tell me how their boyfriends are doing something to them, or family members are doing something, and we've had to report it. And I don't take it. I know not everybody won't take it easy to hear, but I personally have a connection with things like that, with abuse, with sexual abuse, sexual assault, everything. So I really uphold that. And I really talk to the girls about what they should accept and what they don't. It's so bad to say, but of course, women and men are completely different. A man doesn't have to walk to his car with his keys in between his fingers, but a woman does. And so when the girls come and tell me things, I have to make that report, even if I do lose their trust. I have fallen in love with one student every year that I'm just like, I just want to take you home and show you what it means to be loved by a parent. I almost adopted one. But like that, I had to make that decision whether it was going to if it was going to affect my work and going to affect my households. But there was a lot of things going on with that I had to report, and was actually looking into foster caring for her. So, but those are times that I feel like us as teachers, this is what I mean, that we have to love these kids enough to know what they deserve and how we can help them see what they deserve. Let's see. How will you promote healthy moral development with students in your future classroom? Teaching them manners. God, teaching them manners. Teaching them respect. It's such an easy concept, but it is so hard with middle school students. It's so hard for them to understand, why do I have to respect you? Like, you're nobody to me. But it's the principle of things. I tell them sometimes when they talk to me bad, or when they're like, hey, ma'am, Hey, and I look at them like, first off, it's, excuse me, miss, or Miss Rocha, can you help me? Not a, because I don't like when things are like that. Like, I want them to be decent human beings, and I keep repeating that, but it's hard to be taught. I know I had my family and they believe they are decent, but there is a lot of things that like I had to unlearn because they taught me stuff that I should have known better. And these kids, they are with their family, but they believe what their family believes. They don't believe for themselves yet. And so I want to keep that healthy moral development by just teaching them the correct things for humans. Every human should know this. Every human should say thank you, excuse me, raise their hand, wait until they're called on, not yell across the room because you feel like I've been taking too long to come to you when I have 30 other kids. It's things like that. And I really want to be able to do that more for them because it's a good skill to have. I always try to piggyback it. I was like, do you think if I talked to our principal, his name's Mr. Willis, if I talked to Mr. Willis like that, or if I did something like this in front of Mr. Willis, do you think I would still work here? And they go, no. And I said, exactly. I was like, this is your job. Coming to school is your job, and you have to stay with this job. This is what it's setting you up for. And then they'll kind of like, oh, I get it. But I really hope you guys liked our professionalism. Sorry. I really hope you liked my video. I was reading a word off of the thing and I read it. Sorry. But anyway, thank you.